Welcome everyone to another November vlog. I'm gonna begin this vlog with a quick note on resetting my channel. So I've been noticing that I've been trying to do a little bit too much for each vlog. So I want to take a step back and be a little bit more basic, a little bit more simplistic in terms of what I talk about, what I film, and just make it easier on myself, because this shouldn't be such a hassle or a pain or a job. It's something that's supposed to be like a fun little adventure for me. And kind of looking back on the past few months of my first year on YouTube, I've noticed I've been trying to do a lot more per video than necessary, and yeah, it's just been a little bit draining. It's starting to take the fun out of this little adventure. So I want to take a step back. Just want to go back to the basics of the things I'd like to talk about. I'm probably going to cut it into 4 chapters per video. The first part being stuff like this, where I just talk about either my YouTube channel, life goings, shopping, all that kind of, normal weekly, daily life stuff. Second chapter is going to be all books related, and by books I just mean like literally books, no e-readers, no writing, because I know books and writing go hand in hand. But the second chapter is just going to be about books. The third chapter is going to be about all things food and drinks. And by drinks, I probably only mean coffee and tea. Occasionally, maybe like the soft drink, a soda, like a soda taste test, like Olipop. Those kind of probiotic, sparkling water type things that I really enjoy. And then the fourth chapter is going to be, like I've been doing and I actually really like, is like a little slideshow of all the pictures that I've taken during the week that I really enjoy and want to share them with the world. So that's going to be my structure going forward, and the end of November and all of December is going to be somewhat of a trial run. See how it goes from there. See if I want to tweak anything for the new year. Outside of these vlogs, I do want to have dedicated writing vlogs where I kind of just go over the things I've written, minus like specifics and stuff like that, because I'm very paranoid about AI and people stealing my stories. Writing, is it writing utensils? I don't think that's the right word. I'm blanking right now. Notebooks I've been using, programs I've been using, things that have been helping my writing process and stuff like that. All things writing related, minus the books. I don't really want to talk about books in that. The only time I'll talk about books in my writing vlogs is if I'm talking about writing poetry and reading poetry, and that's it. Yeah, I know I talked a little bit fast. I tend to talk fast when I'm like trying to organize the things I'm saying in my head while I'm talking. So apologies if I did talk fast. Next chapter is books. So hopefully it's not too dark. I wanted to create like a cozy reading feel to it. But also the structure that I have going forward, it will allow me to talk about books that I'm actually reading and liking, instead of what I've been doing, which is kind of weird, where I was mostly talking about possibly reading books instead of just talking about the books that I was reading. Yeah, it's kind of, looking back on it, doesn't really make sense. Kind of takes the joy out of actually reading, because if I'm not really talking about the stuff that I'm actually reading about, then what exactly am I doing? So book talk going forward is talking about the stuff I am reading or really am about to read, instead of books I want to prioritize in the near future. So yeah, the first one is On Writing by Stephen King. I think because I'm in like a little bit of a writing slump, I just want to kind of see how, I read this like a long time ago. I remember zero from it, but I know he has like a way, I know in this memoir, he has a way of both kind of telling his life story, but also showcasing his writing style and kind of giving advice at the same time to aspiring writers. That's what I remember when reading it. I do remember like he dealt with a lot of things. He got into a car crash and then had a subsequent like drug addiction problem because of it. I'll reread that section in no time. But yeah, Stephen King is one of my favorite authors. I love the stuff that he brings out. I love that his stories often involve monsters of some sort, but it's more of like humanity are the bigger monsters in a sense. What specifically comes to mind is The Mist. If you ever seen the movie or read the novella, there are monsters in the background, whereas the actual people hold up in a supermarket together. They are really kind of become the more monstrous villains of the novella. A bigger example will probably be The Walking Dead. Yeah, the zombies are there; they're dangerous, but when our main characters encounter other people, or even often within them their own little circles, their own little communities, they're the more monstrous ones because they are capable of doing a lot more than what the zombies can do. So that's why I feel like he does a lot in his stories, and I really like that kind of perspective when writing horror or just writing fiction in a way that pits these two villains together, and one is there to kind of take our attention away from the bigger villains, and we don't really necessarily see that until maybe the end, and we reflect back on the story we just read. So that was a long-winded way of just saying I'm very excited about rereading On Writing by Stephen King. Okay, the next book I'm actually already read quite a bit of is The Snowball Effect by Haley Cass. She's an author I've read before, and I really enjoy her stuff. She has like a universe of where all these characters kind of live in, and it's primarily not primarily, it is only like lesbian rom-com books, and they're very great, they're very cool, they're very charming. I highly recommend them if you're at all into romance, specifically the rom-com genre of books, or if you're like a huge rom-com movie fan. Definitely check out Haley Cass. I think you'll love her stuff. It's like quintessential rom-com elements in there, and I really enjoy it. And I thought this one was probably the most fitting right now because it is winter, Christmas is coming up. So The Snowball Effect, it follows these two characters, Regan and Emma. They are kind of get pushed into being roommates with each other, and kind of when I said like quintessential rom-com elements, they're very much in place here, in terms of slowly pushing these two characters together enough to where it'll romance will blossom later in the story, because I already know, you could already assume what's going to happen, but it's more of like the story of getting to that point that's kind of like a little bit more exciting than actually getting to the end point where they end up together. And that's how it is with like all her books. I know, like going into them, I already know these two characters, whoever they are, they're gonna get together in the end. But I like, and this is the same with rom-com movies. I just like the build up to it, kind of the fun things that happen, the over dramatic things that happen. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, this genre, and I'm glad I found this author, because yeah, again, I highly recommend her stuff if you're at all interested in these genres and stories. So the next book I'm currently slowly reading is Kristen Britton's Green Rider. I believe it's a series of about 8 different books. It's your classic fantasy with magic, with adventure. The main character, Kerrigan, is kind of the adventure part of it. I just kind of like thrust upon her randomly in the woods, and yeah, the story kind of goes from there. The reason why I chose it, for kind of 2 reasons. One is just I had a $10 credit, and this book was in my wish list, and it was on sale for $4.99, so I picked it up. But also, I just wanted something, like, looking back on the books that I've been choosing to somewhat read, I haven't really been choosing books with great or even present female protagonists. So I don't know, I mean, I can't say that's what was missing in terms of me not sticking to any of the books that I've been wanting to read in the past. But I always get like a little jolt of excitement when the main character in a fantasy book is a female hero, female protagonist, whether or not she's terrible at everything or amazing at everything. I just like that presence in my stories. So yeah, kind of like everything kind of came together, and yeah, I got this book. Excited to read it. I just wanted to have a very simple, straightforward magic adventure, swords, arrows, bow and arrows, a little bit of monsters, fantasy book. So somewhat excited about this. Again, this is coming before even reading this. I know at least for me, fantasy is a bit of a hit and miss because, like I mentioned before, sometimes fantasy books, they introduce the reader to so much in such a short amount of time. It really takes me out of it. So I'm hoping this book is a little bit more slow in terms of introducing me to their whatever magical system, whatever class system, race system, whatever's in this book. As long as it's like slow moving and it's not everything all at once, I'm good to go. Like, I'm already hooked because of that. So yeah, fingers crossed that this book is like that. If not, I think it's only like, I don't even know how long it is. 420 pages. I'll read it regardless. But yeah, these are my 3 books. I'm going to prioritize. I know I say that a lot, but I really am going to prioritize these books because I actually have a genuine interest in them. So yeah, be on the lookout for those. For those in the coming weeks, maybe updates or so here and there. And next chapter is cooking ham. Okay, so this week I am cooking ham. It's my first attempt at cooking ham. It's already pre-cooked. It's mostly just like warming it up in the oven. But it came with a little packet of glazed, the honey glaze, which I'm kind of nervous about. Hopefully I don't burn it. Hopefully I don't dry out the ham. Cooking in the oven has always been like a little bit nervous to me just because I don't want to dry out whatever I'm cooking in there and burn it. This is the honey glazed ham. I thought it was going to be somewhat like a honey consistency, but it's more of like just a simple powder. I'm pretty sure there's like some sort of I don't know, it said powdered sugar, but I was thinking maybe like brown sugar because it adds that nice crust to it. So I don't know, maybe it is just regular powdered sugar, which is interesting that's the choice instead of something else, a different, like a brown sugar. Brown sugar is my favorite, especially in coffee. If you haven't had brown sugar in coffee, definitely try that. Also recording this and putting the powder on at the same time, or the glaze on at the same time, I kind of wasted a little bit more than I was supposed to. I also didn't put any on the bottom of the ham, so that whole part is going to be very bare and probably very untasty. I forgot the celery. I only remembered to get carrots and red potatoes. I wanted to get celery, which I forgot, but I also wanted to get onions. Onions add a nice flavor to everything. But my mom hates onions. She literally, like, if she finds an onion in her food, she's like done for the entire day. She can't eat anymore. It's not allergic reaction or anything. It's just like a psychological hate for onions. I don't know why. Usually when I cook veggies, I do a very simple blend of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. Mostly I'll finish it off with red chili flakes. So while the ham was cooking, I found these hats for my dogs. Tried putting them on them. They hate stuff on their head, on their little bodies. Drago didn't even want to look at me. So thankfully I followed the directions pretty well. The ham wasn't so dry. The glaze came out nice and crispy, not overly done. I think I could have kept it in the oven maybe for a little bit more, just to kind of like cook down that fat on the sides. I also realized too late that I cut this in all the wrong ways. I'm pretty much just like cutting the fat off essentially and leaving nothing left. And I didn't really notice that's why there's all those little slices across the whole ham, is that's where you're supposed to slice it and have the thin slices. And I'm just butchering it right now because I don't know what to do. Yeah, looking back on it, I was like, oh my god, how did I? Right when I sat down to eat, I was like, wait, why did I cut the ham that way? So at least I didn't catch myself early enough, but at least I knew where I screwed up. So the next time, I make ham, I know exactly what to do in terms of cutting it. But I'm happy with my little meal. I burnt the carrots a little bit. The potatoes are a little bit dry because I forgot to add olive oil to the pan, of course. But I'll give myself a solid maybe 7 out of 10. So I'll end this video with some coffee. Today's or this morning's coffee choice is just your plain drip coffee. This coffee came from Seattle when my parents went to go visit my sister about 2 weeks ago. I am not at all a coffee connoisseur, so I can't even tell you what flavors I'm tasting. All I know is that my favorite cup of coffee involves coffee that isn't that bitter or that strong or not that caffeinated. Not that caffeine affects me that much to where I can't have a lot of caffeine in like a certain amount of hours or throughout the day. But I want something, so my ideal cup is just flavorful. I am someone that does put milk in my coffee. Black coffee I could drink if it's like a dark roast, an Italian roast, a French roast is my preferred roast. But I will still have to add maybe like 1 or 2 raw sugars to it, and that's it. That would be my, I guess, my adult cup of coffee. But my usual choice of coffee is either like a black coffee with sugar and cream, or a latte with some syrups in it. Yeah, because I am American, and that's how my taste buds have come to be developed, being very, very dependent on sugar for flavors. But I am getting better at it, especially in terms of like appreciating coffee as is. But yeah, okay, I guess I I just wanted to end this segment on coffee, and I went into this whole tangent. Okay, but I'll end it here. Please enjoy the little slideshow to come, and any very small YouTube creators out there come across my video, definitely let me know in the comments what your strategy is in terms of structuring your channel to make it so it's both you, but also both enjoyable and manageable. And to everyone else, thank you so much for stopping by, for watching, for skipping around. And hopefully you'll see you next week. Boy, I really butchered that ending. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Okay, that's a lot better.